in the weak light, I saw you becoming the liar, taking it all for granted like freedom.
So finally back with the band Katatonia with their album Dead End Kings. This album released in 2012, it consists of 12 songs, and yeah, as per usual, it is a good album. Now on my previous album review, which I did for Katatonia, which was The Fall of Hearts, I kind of was assuming I'd end it there because I'm quite guitar orientated, so I kind of always look for a metal band that consists of guitar solos. If I'm going for a whole metal album that doesn't really play any guitar solos, I kind of feel it to be kind of like missing. I'm always like waiting and looking for a guitar solo, so if I'm going song after song after song not getting it, then I just feel this massive void basically just there. So even if it's like, oh well, the songs are good, but this is not a guitar solo, so I just can't, I'm not getting fulfilled even though the song itself is good. Katatonia have been one of my pure exceptions to this thought. I've not really ever had a band which really has ever done this. I've always been that mindset. I've listened to albums, obviously, where they are indeed missing solos, but I don't really keep focusing on it. I just listen to it and go, yeah, that was fun. I kind of enjoyed listening to it. It's something new to listen to. I've enjoyed it, but it doesn't have a standing appeal to it because it's not got all them dynamics and everything, so the appeal can last. If it's a song that's simply just following a typical formula and everything, and is lacking all this musical directions and all this epicness and everything, then you've got a very pure basic thing. So even if it is fun and enjoyable, which some things are, after you've listened to it a few times, it's so repetitive and just so obvious for your brain to get all of the pieces. It's just like, kind of like even a movie, if you watch it and it's a very basic movie, it's like you get bored of it quicker than a movie that is really complex and always makes you think, because there's always something new and fresh and exciting there, so your interest can last longer. So with Katatonia, as I said, I wasn't really going to go into Dead End Kings, but I've been enjoying Katatonia throughout my listens from their new album released in 2026, near the end of 2025, all the way to The Fall of Hearts. I listened to them because they were known as the introduction of the kind of like shift for Katatonia, shifting into more guitar-orientated music. Fall of Hearts was written, and then they got a new guitarist who was actually known to be very talented, so they had him go back in and then add a few solos. And then with City Burials and everything, he did more, and then with Sky Void of Stars did even more. And then both the guitarists left, but then two great guitarists came in for the 2025 one, and then guitar solos are again present. So I was going to go, well, being me, I'm probably not going to enjoy this album. I'm going to be really missing the guitar solos. I want guitar solos. But then again, Katatonia, as you listen, you don't get a plethora of guitar solos, and I have overly enjoyed it. I did start with the newest album, which is very kind of guitar driven, and then go into Sky Void of Stars, which with that guitarist that they had at the time, that album consists of his most soloing work. And then before that, City Burials, again there is a scattering of solos, but definitely not a lot. You got maybe like half the album has solos and the other half you're missing them, and again you're going back and back and back, and they're getting less and less and less. But I'm not feeling like, oh, I'm really missing it. Like, I really do enjoy the albums like Nightmare of the Wakened State, Void Dream something, I can never remember the bloody name, it's so long, and then Sky Void of Stars. I really do like them albums because it is everything, and then you put on top guitar solos. but I have appreciated songs without it. So I thought maybe I would give Dead End Kings a try because I've been enjoying it so much. The vocalist is absolutely phenomenal. He is the best at melancholy. He's great working with melody. He was originally a drummer and became singer, and then he writes his songs through drum beats and the melodies and everything. He really focuses and has honed what he does. He's not a singer like in power metal where he's belting and doing such a massive range and everything. He just works in his register. But it's the fact that he works with breath control, with the line delivery, with how the melody will shift, how he can go into one lyric to another, how to do a passage from one to the next. And he's just basically nailed it. Completely. So I've massively enjoyed him. He is phenomenal. And as far as the rest goes, when you are without a guitar solo, the music is so mature, so vast, so open and airy, and oozes with atmosphere, that it's so unique and so interesting with just how you put so much technicality in the airy openness and voidness of the song. Taking basically a band like Dragon Force, where you're playing a dozen notes a second and it's filled with all these blasting notes and everything is overly technical. Yet when you have a person who is musically inclined, let's say, and ask them their opinion on Dragon Force, and it's like, so you are musically inclined, you are a great songwriter, a great composer, what do you think of Dragon Force? Because they're at the top of their game technically, and they go, yeah, they're crap. So if they're at the top of the game and they're insanely technical, why is Dragon Force known as this? Because they're not great songwriters. They're not great composers, because it's all they do. Everything is just a dozen notes, and that's it. Music is vast. Is music a dozen notes? God, no. Music is a plethora of so much stuff that I would need days to try and discuss every single thing of music, and even then I don't think I'd be able to cover everything. Music is so vast, and you can do so much with it, yet they don't. And again, this is the thing I really like about Katatonia, because musically, as I say, the way the songs progress and everything, and works with their simplicity, but they just really hone and nail every single part, and the way they structure it and everything is perfection in songwriting and composition work. It's phenomenal. Where the drums are, where the bass plays, where the guitars come and go, the way that the vocalist literally is just floating through every track, and the way he delivers it is just perfection being nailed every step of the way. Take a band like Sown, another band I've started listening to recently. Sown have a decent singer. A pretty good singer, actually. He has more range than this guy. He has a high octave range. And then they have a guitarist who doesn't do a solo on every song, but for majority of the album he will do a solo. And it is very blues based. I love that. But their song structure is very straightforward. You have your typical intro, you have a verse, then you go into a chorus, and you go into your verse, and you go into your chorus. And then they usually go for, when it comes to the bridge, it goes into melody. And then it goes into a bluesy solo, or it just goes immediately back into a chorus and it is therefore done. So you have a vocalist who has more active range than Katatonia. You have a guitarist which is actually doing a lot more frequent solos. And they're very blues jazz driven, which is absolutely phenomenal in metal and everything because it's so melodic. And it has to connect on an emotional level instead of just excitement of a plethora of a dozen notes all at a second. Yet, I prefer Katatonia. even with a singer with more of an octave range, and a guitarist who plays some beautiful solos when it is actually done. Katatonia are just the better songwriters because their music is way more creative. That's the thing. Disturbed, for their album Indestructible and Asylum, they started leaning heavier into doing guitar solos. But again, at the end of the day, Disturbed sound like Disturbed. It is Disturbed at their best, don't get me wrong, but it's just Disturbed. They only know how to write for Disturbed. And it's just very basic. So every track on this album I like. I said it's 12 tracks, but that's only if you basically get the bonus track on MP3 digital, or if you get the media book or the kind of re-release of the album, which comes with a DVD as well, which is basically just like Dolby Atmos high fidelity kind of audio quality to listen to the album, and then you get the bonus track. But I like every song. As I said, with every album, the song starts immediately with vocals. Usually you get the intro with the band and everything, but usually with Katatonia, most of their songs always immediately start with the singer. There is obviously some songs on the album which starts with the music, but on every album that I've listened to, it always starts immediately and the singer's right there. Reason, I don't know, but it's just kind of interesting. So first track, The Parting. Again, it's very void and open. Vocalist, the band eventually comes in, then it goes into a nice little melody. The bridge section is really nice. There's a nice guitar lead. The one you are looking for is not here. The second track, long track name, has a female guest vocalist. Katatonia actually seem to lean into this female guest vocalist from album to album. I think it's the same female. I could be wrong, but I think it is. This is a beautiful track. The duet between the vocalist and the female is absolutely phenomenal. Just the melodies and just it's absolutely phenomenal. And Hype Known goes slightly heavier and everything. Real catchy chorus, starts heavy, then it goes into great melody and everything. Again, this is what Katatonia does. You start listening to it and take some time with the melodies and the transitions and everything, but when it really starts to get under your skin and everything, the melodies hit hard. A good melody will sit with you harder than just a heavy breakdown. A great melody, something that has great melody, so you just, the lyrics stay with you. And you just keep coming back and it does not get out your head. That's something that is highly effective if you cannot get it out your head. And Katatonia melodies always stick with me. The Racing Heart goes back to melody. It kind of jumps back and forth. I say The Parting is got melodic, but it's got heaviness to it. The one you're looking for is not here. Bit kind of melodic. Hype Known, bit heavier. The Racing Heart, bit more melodic. Buildings, a bit heavier. And then Leech, back to a little bit more melody. Ambitions, still melody, but a bit more heavier. Then Undo You, melodic. All great tracks, all some real great melodic passages that really shine through. And then we get Lithium. This is the only track with a solo. The only one. It's one of the better tracks, and when the solo hits, obviously because you've gone a whole album without it, it is very effective when it shines through. It's a very technical solo, actually. It is kind of weird that the fact that he is so technical, and it is very technical, they didn't use him any other time, and they were just going with the atmosphere, but again, that's what Katatonia is known for, and they do lean more into it going forward, which I do appreciate. But I still appreciate every single song for what it is, which is songwriting at its finest, to be fair. First Prayer. Again, it's a song which just has phenomenal melodies, great moments. It just sticks. Dead Letters, I love this song. It's one of the best ones. Great. And then The Act of Darkening, bonus track. Again, a really solid track. An interesting thing with Dead End Kings, they have actually got a partner album with this, which is called Dethroned and Uncrowned. This is basically the 11 basic tracks reimagined. Now, usually when bands do this, where it's like uncrowned, you can imagine that means unplugged. Bands have done this, where they basically do a song, or they do a collection of songs on an album where it is basically just all unplugged and it's all acoustic. I find it insanely boring. I hate it, beyond belief. And people are going to say, oh, well, clearly you like Katatonia, so you're going to say, oh, this is the one that works. Well, yes, it works, but it's the fact that the album is not unplugged. As I said, it's a reimagining. Yes, it's kind of unplugged, but not exactly. It is more melodic, where it is basically like it's really stripped back to really focus on the vocals and the melodies, and then it's more warm. As for Dead End Kings, the actual album is a lot more kind of like cold and everything. Dethroned and Uncrowned is a lot more warm and thick in their sound. You've got strings and everything that come in and everything. There is acoustic guitar which will play a melody kind of differently. There is sometimes an electric guitar. It is very open. It's not obviously going to come in with a lot of gain, so guitar does come in every now and again. But as I said, some of the melodies kind of shift a little bit, and then they'll do some different kind of things here and there. There'll be a string instrument somewhere and things. So it's just completely reimagined and rebuilt. So even though it's the same song, it's slightly altered and changed for a different mood and vibe. So Dead End Kings is still the more interesting one because there's more there to it and everything, and I do enjoy listening to it. But I have come to really enjoy Dethroned and Uncrowned if I'm like in the bath or something, or I'm just sat with candles on or something, listening to something that is a lot more warm and subdued and everything. Kind of works for the vibe. So I do enjoy it. You don't really get the solo on Lithium. That is missing, but in other kind of parts where there is a bit of a lead interlude, which is also on Dead End Kings, in tracks like Hype Known and stuff, it kind of is a bit more effective on Dethroned and Uncrowned because everyone else is so kind of subdued and everything. So when the kind of lead kind of actually does come in, it is a little bit more effective. Although the first track, the parting, on the bridge section where there's the guitar lead, that is actually missing in Dethroned and Uncrowned. As I said, they're not playing exactly the same thing. They do kind of start mixing things around and adding new stuff. Again, I just see it as being creative, being musicians, showing their creativity, their songwriting, their musicianship, and taking what they've already done, and not just, well, we're just doing the exact same thing. It's just instead of playing it on our guitars and everything, we're just now going to play it unplugged. But other than that, it's exactly the same, and we're just going to say, oh yeah, we're going to release this album and sell it for more money. No, they literally went in and it's like, yeah, it is Dead End Kings, but it is different. And it is. It's a whole new idea of the album, and it's just absolutely fascinating. I do like this band a lot, and with the way metal's going these days, they don't really care for guitar solos in the first place anyway, nor really musicianship or songwriting, just basically basic, and as long as they do gent stuff and a breakdown and there's a lot of screaming, people are kind of happy. But as I said, this shows just the technicality of songwriting. instead of just, as I said, playing a dozen notes a second. Katatonia are just absolute masters of melodies and composition, just putting some great stuff together, but it is minimal. But in that minimal soundscape, it is just an absolute dozen things. Because there's just so much there that is creative, and it does and says so much. I said I listen to more technical bands than Katatonia, but I would still class Katatonia more technical, just because the way they can compose songs and deal with these melodies and everything, they are therefore more technical. As I said, Sown, they do solos and probably more technical vocalists, but no, Katatonia is actually more technical in songwriting. And as I said, that's why Katatonia is really good.